Okay, konnichiwa minasan. Watashi no namae wa Indah desu. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Indah Rufiati. I am Fisheries Lead in Pesisir Lestari in partnership with Blue Ventures, and I will be the moderator for this session, Opportunities and Benefits of Application of Participatory Fisheries Governance in Asia Pacific. This session is organized by me and my colleague Rayhan Dudayev, Policy Advocacy and Governance Specialist of Pesisir Lestari in partnership with Blue Ventures. Thank you to the organizers of the 4th World Small Scale Fisheries Congress for the opportunity. It's my great pleasure to introduce our speakers today. Aris Budiarto, Directorate of Fisheries Resources of Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries Republic of Indonesia. Christopher Paino, Program Manager of JAPESDA from Indonesia. Dina L. Umengan, Executive Director Tambuyok Development Center from the Philippines. Ali Ferretti Tawake, LMMA Network International Trust from Fiji. There will be 4 presentations in a row, and then it will be followed by discussions, questions and answers, and then summary. Fisheries policy has traditionally focused on maximizing national fisheries production, profitability, and job creation, employing various tools including financial subsidies, incentives, and management to achieve these aims. Centralized approaches have long dominated the discourse, but these have several shortcomings that can hamper their implementation at a local level. In response, coastal states are increasingly devolving responsibility for fisheries management to regional, provincial, or local level institutions. Drawing on experiences from 3 countries in Southeast Asia and Pacific, this side event will provide a community perspective on experiences and best practices decentralization of fisheries management. And we will have Aris Budiarto to start the presentation. But first, I want to introduce more about Pak Aris. So Pak Aris is Sub-Coordinator at Directorate of Fisheries Resources Management, Directorate General Capture Fisheries, Ministry of Marine Affairs, and Fisheries Republic of Indonesia. From the beginning of his career to the present, Aris' job is managing national fish resources in 11 management areas in 34 provinces, where the emphasis is on preparing regulations and empowering fishers and involving stakeholders in decision-making. The policies implemented, including establishing a harvest strategy in fisheries management through input and output control, as well as technical measures. The latest program currently being implemented is Measured Fishing and Advanced Fishers Village Development, both of which involve the active participation of stakeholders. Pak Aris, the time is yours.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Indah. Can you help me for the my presentation?
Yes, I'm preparing to share your presentation.
Okay. Good afternoon, all panelists, moderator, and participant. Hope you are in good health and well. I apologize for not being able to attend in Shizuoka, Japan, because any problem in my visa. This afternoon, I will share my experience about co-management, best business management in Indonesia. This is my presentation, policy opportunities and best practices of participatory fisheries governance in Indonesia through co-management. Next. This is a fisheries co-management concept in our country. Depend of regulating human behavior. We now we have the 3 system: natural ecosystem, management system, and human system. In natural ecosystem, we have fish species in habitat, especially in aquatic environment. And in the management system, we have government in interaction about the fisheries community. In management system, we have policy and planning, fishery management, fishery research, and fishery development. This is the circulation of the process. And in the human system, we all know harvester from the fishing group and fishing technique. and community about the household and post-harvester. This is a social economic impact. We know we have the processing, distribution, market, wholesale and retail and consumer. This is interaction about fisheries community. We maintain and user conflict, gear conflict, community economic and social interaction, and marketing channel. Next. From definition, co-management is sharing rules, responsibilities, and authorities between the government and fisheries actor in the utilization and management of the fishery resources. This is in the diagram in the picture. Government who manage the fisheries resources system, and fisheries actor like the fisherman, capital, for the sharing responsibility with the government for the sustainable fisheries actually. Next. This is why co-management matter organ in our country is first the limit fisheries resources, and number two is government and other fisheries user have own purposes. And number three, centralistic approach is not effective for a policy implementation plan. And number four, conflict of interest between stakeholder, input government and fisheries resources. This is why co-management is very important. Yeah. Next. Fisheries co-management in Indonesia based on community based our fisheries governance. We have we call the SASI, temporary closure. This is for the local wisdom, yeah. And we have Panglima Laut SASI in the Maluku province, Panglima Laut in Aceh province, Awik in East and West Tenggara, Nusa Tenggara. After community-based fisheries government, we have the state-based fisheries governance based on Act number 990 85 on fisheries and production-based approach and centralistic. And we have fisheries co-management based on Act number 31 2004. And we have a new regulation, Act number 11 2021 on job creation. This is new regulation. And we have Act number 32 2004. This is for the regional government regulation. This is SASI Panglima Laut Awik is before independent. After independent, we have regulation about the fisheries, and at present we have the Act number 11 2021. Next. Based on Article 2, Act number 31 2004, fisheries management is carried out based on the principle of benefit, fairness, partnership, equity, integration, openness, efficiency, and sustainability. The principles mentioned in Article 2 above are the basic core of the objective of fisheries co-management in Indonesia, especially those related to partnership, equity, and integration. Based on Article 6 in Act number 31 2004, Article 6 paragraph 2 state that fisheries management for the purpose of catching and cultivating fish must take into account customary law and or local wisdom, and take into account the participation of the community. In the perspective of Article 6 paragraph 2, the adoption of customary law and local wisdom is one of the characteristics for strengthening co-management in Indonesia. Next. This is co-management and Octopus Fish Management in Indonesia, collaboration with Yayasan Pesisir Lestari from Miss Indah and Mr. Rayhan Dudayev. NGO, yeah, in NGO in our country. This is collaboration with government. The activity, some activity like the fisheries profile, participatory monitoring, data feedback session, fisheries management at pilot level using pilot regulation, and evaluation and adaptive fisheries management. This is the activity with the Yayasan Pesisir Lestari collaboration with government in our country. Next. This is the about the regulation for the octopus species temporary closure. This is mandatory by regulation for the pellets, yeah. Pellet. This is the maybe new regulation, yeah. Based on first regulation. This is you can see in the picture octopus fishing site in Darawa. This is the development for the temporary closure information by the fishermen and scientific, yeah, scientific for the academician for the university, yeah, university local in this area. Next. How to decide time and location for closure? This is Yayasan Pesisir Lestari with fishermen, yeah, in the local area. Any some meeting for the development regulation about the closer fisheries. You can see the graphic. This is the total catch, yeah. Sorry, is still in the bahasa Indonesia. This is the total catch in 2065 fish gurita, ya. We have the 55 fishermen totally in this area. Next. This is the evaluation process about the implementation for the pilot regulation, especially for the closer season evaluation about the cats, total cat after implementation for the closer season. We have some species from the gurita is increase before regulation. This is the positive impact from the regulation for the closer season. Next. This is another fisheries co-management implementation in Indonesia for the tuna fisheries. We have partner MDPI, ya, Masyarakat dan Perikanan Indonesia. This is the local NGO support for the co-management fisheries, especially for the tuna fisheries. Implementation of co-management, the process pre-implementation, implementation, and post-implementation. This is some meeting about the implementation in the province from province level. Yeah, I think this is province level. Next. This is in the province level 2 in Lombok, Nusa Tenggara Barat province, and in Bone, South Sulawesi province. This is meeting with fishermen, yeah, in some pillets. I think this is. Next. Thank you for my presentation. I come back to Miss Indah Rufiati.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Aris, for the presentation about how fisheries management in Indonesia is integrating natural management and human system, and with examples from octopus and tuna fisheries context. Thank you so much, Pak Aris, and then we will go to the second speaker. It will be Mr. Christopher Paino. program manager of Japesda. Chris was born and raised in Gorontalo, Sulawesi Island, Indonesia. In 2009, he joined Japesda Advocacy Network and Natural Resources Management, a local NGO based in Gorontalo. He assisted Japesda work in organizing a community that is affected by palm oil plantations. He also works as an environmental journalist and is a book writer. He has carried out investigative work on issues of customary communities, mangrove deforestation, human rights, and communities affected by gold mining in forest conservation. Together with Pesisir Lestari in partnership with Blue Ventures, he is working with communities in fisheries management. Over to you, Pak Chris.
Thank you, Mbak Indah, for the fascinating. Yeah, hello everyone. Yeah, first of all, I would say thank you for the great opportunity to attend us and on small scale fisheries conference. Yeah, my title presentation is about the Octopus Fisheries Management in Uwedikan Village, Central Sulawesi province in Indonesia. I think there is a similarity when Pak Aris said earlier about the Rawa in Wakatobi, right? So I'm going to share my experience in Uwedikan Village. Next slide. Next, Miss Indah. Yeah. Sorry. Before this one, there is some overview. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I would say about overview about our site called Uwedikan Village. So this Uwedikan is a coastal village and one of the remote village. They are located in East Look District, Banggai Regency, and Central Sulawesi, Indonesia. And the area of Uwedikan Village is about 1,346.5 hectares. It's including several empty islands. And you can see on your screen, there is an empty island in front of this village. And there are two tribes in Uwedikan. The first is Saluan tribe, which is native in Uwedikan. And then the second one is the Bajau tribe, which is foremost is a sea explorer, and many people call they as a sea gypsy. So they live in Uwedikan. And then the Saluan tribe is better known as a tribe that has a culture as a farmer, but they are also seasonal fisher. So sometimes they go fishing together with the Bajau tribes. Next slide. Yeah, this is the Bajau houses. So the Bajau tribe are 100% fishers and live and settle in Uwedikan village since the 1970s. And the Saluan and Bajau tribe live in harmony and they help each other. And sometimes they still practicing a barter system. So they exchange like a sea product or like fish to exchange to the farming product like a vegetable or chili, or in Bahasa we call it rica. So they change with the fish. And then the Bajau people in Uwedikan village, they catch reef fish or the mersal fish using a traditional tow. It was like traditional gill net. And the catch of this reef fish is mostly for their daily food. And then the Bajau tribe also catch sea cucumber at night by using spears. However, catching a sea cucumber is not done every day and only depend on the season. Yeah. Next slide. Okay. Yeah, you can see on your screen. So the octopus fishers is 100% is from the Bajau tribe, and they catch octopus because this is the main source of the livelihood for them. And then from the result of the octopus fishing, they can build houses and send their children to school or even in the university. And the Bajau fishers catch octopus every day, starting around 7 a.m. in the morning and then returning at 12 at noon. And then they using they catch octopus they're taking by traditional boat, like on your screen, and using a small engine. Yeah. Next. And there are three kinds of octopus fishing gears in Uwedikan. So the first one, what we call it gara-gara fishing gear, which is an imitation of crab. So during the octopus season, usually some Bajo women also join in the looking for the octopus with the fishing gear. And you can see on your screen, there's a woman using gara-gara. So when they're using a gara-gara, it's like handling for catching a fish. And then the second one, what we call it manis-manis in Bahasa. Yeah, manis-manis the form of an imitation of an octopus to attract the real octopus. And but the other province in Indonesia, manis-manis, the other name is like pocong in Nusa Tenggara Barat. And the third one is spear fishing. So when they're using a spear fishing, sometimes they like a snorkeling or gleaning to catch the octopus. Yeah, next. Yeah. Yeah, octopus, the fishing octopus location in Uwedikan is quite close to the village. It's only about 15 minutes. And the community of Uwedikan village rely on the sea for living, but the sea has changed. And then when we discuss with them, both of them from the tribe, I mean, there are issues the community are facing, like illegal fishing or destructive fishing, such as bombing or potassium, or also crowbar that used to hit the reef and catch the octopus. Next slide. Yeah. After we know what they're facing in their village, and we starting to assisting and then working together with them, Octopus, and we starting in March 2020, and which receive collaborative support from the YPL, Pesisir Lestari Foundation, and partnership by the Blue Venture. And then yeah, the first thing what we do is sitting together with them, with all parties, they all like a fishing community or the and officially from the both of the tribe, the Bajo and Saluan tribe, to discuss the issues they were facing. And this discussion is also the same time gathering information to find out the condition of octopus fisheries in the village. Okay. Yeah, and then the process of assisting and the mentoring process for the Bajo community was very long and involved many party, like local government or village government, and then also women's group and then youth community in the village. And then the support provided by the village government is very important for us to work together with the Uwedikan octopus fishers. And also the support provided by the village government is showing by making a cooperation agreement letters, like MOU, memorandum of understanding. Yeah. After the support from all party has been obtained by Japisda, we are starting an octopus fisheries profile by collecting data and monitoring octopus fisheries, and the data and information needing include the type of octopus caught by fishermen, and then also the fishing gear used, like and then the sex of the octopus, the weight of the octopus, or the fishing location of the fishermen, or the seasonal calendar, and so on. And then the purpose of monitoring of this octopus fisheries to build and understanding with the community, to collect data and then ensure that ownership of the data is the hands of the community. And also the data collection was carried out by data collector or enumerator, involve the octopus fishermen and also female fishermen in participatory manner. And then the data collector is sometimes from the youth community or native in Uwedikan. Yeah. Next. Yeah, this is the also business profile monitoring. So the octopus fishery data collected for 3 months was then inputted and analyzed, and then the data was feedback to the community. And data feedback prove that the community is the owner of the data. And then the result of the data feedback also aim to build public understanding of the trends of octopus fishing that have been practiced so far. And you can see on your screen there is someone who showing the data. So the data in the form of number and graphs are made in simple way to facilitate the understanding of the community and fishermen. And this periodic data feedback will help the community to decide on fisheries management option in the village. Okay, next. Yeah, after a year providing community assistance to monitoring octopus fisheries, the community agreed to form a conservation group, and then the result of data collection was periodically then reached a joint decision that on August 21st, 2021, in terms of like coastal community, fishermen, religious leader, women's group, youth community, and the Uwedikan village government have agreed to temporarily close the 113 hectare of octopus fishing area in the village. And then you can see on your screen, there is a head of village when an agreement was carried out in the form of declaration of temporary closure of the octopus fishing area from August to November. So the head of village who the declaration of the temporary closure. Yeah. Next. And then during the 3-month temporary closure, so the community through the conservation group conducted simple surveillance patrol, and they also built a monitoring post in the middle of the sea to monitor if anyone commit a violation. And then this is the simple patrol. In the first month, you can see the picture below. In the first month, they patrol 3 times a week using by traditional boat with the small engine. And then the second month of closure, fishermen feel they need to carry out to daily patrol independently. Yeah, next slide. After, this is the result of temporary closure. After 3 months later, when the opening was carried out, the fishermen managed to catch an octopus with a larger weight and with an average catch of 2 kilograms of octopus. And prior to Japanese assistance and closure, fishermen only caught an average of 1 kilogram of octopus. So the result is showing is getting high, the octopus trends. And then based on the fisher testimony, the management of the octopus fishery through temporary closure has succeeded in increasing the weight of the octopus, and simultaneously has succeeded in increasing the income of octopus fishermen in Uwedikan village. Yeah, I think after the temporary closure, the next step is we still ongoing process to how to get recognized from the provincial level. From Marine and Fisheries Department in a provincial level to recognize this fisheries management through the octopus. Yeah, next. Yeah, I think that's my end of presentation. Odolo, it means terima kasih. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pak Chris, for the impressive work that you do with your team and the communities of Uwedikan. Yeah, we just amazed by the work of Japesda with the communities in community-led octopus fisheries management in Uwedikan village, where the communities implemented temporary closure as one of the efforts to safeguard the fisheries resources that is very important for their livelihood, and also try to get the recognition from the government. And for the third speaker, there will be Ms. Dina Umangan, Executive Director Tambuyok Development Center of Philippines. And Ms. Dina is currently the Executive Director of Tambuyok Development Center, a Philippine non-government organization that caters to the plight and concerns of small-scale artisanal fisherfolk. She has been working for 3 decades in the Philippine fisheries industry and is a known leader in advocating policy change for sustainable fisheries management and to improve the situation of fishing communities in the Philippines. Ms. Dina served as an NGO representative to the National Fisheries and Aquatic Resource Management Council from 2012 until 2016. She is the elected chairperson of the National Banner Program Committee for Fisheries and Aquaculture under the Philippine Council for Agriculture and Fisheries of the Department of Agriculture and the National Convener of the Panagat Civil Society Network. A very impressive profile, and yeah, we will share Ms. Dina's presentation.
My presentation is about participatory fisheries experiences in the struggle for co-management. Next, please. Okay. So the presentation is this is the synopsis of the Philippine participatory governance and Tambuyug's experience in capacitating stakeholders. Wait, can you see my wait. For a while, I'll just okay, and then as you can see, I will start with the struggle and clamor for participation in policy and decision making, and then also followed by establishment of the policy basis for participatory fisheries governance, and last, our experiences in or journey in promoting and working with coastal communities towards participatory fisheries governance. Next video. Next slide, please. Okay. Participatory governance in the Philippines about by the long years of neglect of small-scale fishers that made them struggle and clamor to be part of the policy and decision-making process. Next. The development of genuine participatory governance follows a bottom-up process. The development of grassroots advocacy and campaigns from fishing communities is integral to the development of well-guided and well-informed structures for participation. Next. Nonetheless, a movement needs to provide a venue for stakeholders to meet. Dialogues provide a space where each party can lay down the common ground for working together. Dialogue with the government on the creation of a People's Council initiated and led to the development of a formal structure for representation of municipal fisher folks or small-scale fisher folks in policy making. And that is the first step in co-management of our fisheries. Next. Securing participation through the grassroots initiated People's Council, which was later adopted into what is now we call the Fisheries and Aquatic Resource Management Council, or FARMSIS, which allow participation from the smallest unit of governance, the village level, to the national level, as well as representations from support organizations, NGOs, and private sector. Next. The Philippine Fisheries Code of 1998 guides the country's fisheries policies and programs for each sector. The legislation is a landmark accomplishment of the different sectors of our fisheries working together. The formalization through legislation is the country's recognition of the history of struggle of our fisherfolk for participatory governance. Next, the amendment of the Fisheries Code to include illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing (IUF) policies started with the issuance of yellow card by European Union, which was supported by environmental NGOs for a more sustainable fisheries. The local commercial fishing fleet operators were obliged to follow, otherwise their product can't enter European markets. The amendments was done through the guidance of the civil society organizations and partner fishing communities. Next. The formalization and adoption of the FARMC as a platform for participation cemented the role of fishers in policy-making, decision-making process, and designing fisheries interventions from the local to the national level. Next. Tambuyug's journey in promoting and working with coastal communities towards participatory fisheries governance started more than 30 years ago with coastal community organizing in coastal municipalities. Participatory governance requires that the stakeholders are on equal footing. Tambuyog contributed to enhancing capacity of the key players to be able to participate through promotion and implementation of the community-based resource management or CBCRM framework. This allowed the municipal fisher folk in our partner communities and local government units to participate and co-create policies and design fisheries programs. Coastal environmental profiling serve as a first step to the incorporation by fishers and their LGUs or local government units. Without being informed on local issues and the status of their resources, our fishers will not be able to genuinely contribute in fisheries governance. Equipped with knowledge on local issues and the status of available resources, the development of the fisheries policy reform agenda to identify common policy can be facilitated more effectively. A more consensus-based policy development ensures that local government units recognize the needs and capabilities of their constituents. Formation of the governance structure for fisheries with emphasis on people participation was done through the establishment of Fisheries and Aquatic Resource Management Councils. Through these, policies and programs for fisheries must be developed with the guidance of the Council. Although it is not a perfect system and some localities still struggle for proper recognition as equal partners in fisheries governance, this provides a level of security to protect the interest of fishers. Next. A major bottleneck in fisheries management in many areas in the country is the lack of capacity among local government units. Responding to the need of capacitate fisheries managers from the ranks of local government units helps reduce the bottleneck and better facilitate the participation of fishers in the implementation of their fisheries management plans. Capacity building of local government units requires the municipal pharmacies to transform fish wardens to fisheries managers, having established a good working relationship with its partnered local government unit. Tambuyog and the Fisherfolk organization has institutionalized a partnership to develop a sustainable fishery. Next. The establishment of a fishing ground-based fisheries management school to address lack of capacity among LGU personnel and fisherfolk groups on fisheries management was a key strategy adopted by Tambuyog to further promote participatory governance. The participants' output for the training was a concrete fisheries management plan specific to the. However, sustaining the participation among fishers who depend on daily income from fishing requires that the time they invested also generate economic benefits. Capturing the economic benefits from participatory fisheries governance is a key strategy to sustain efforts at the local level. A first step in ensuring that fishers engage in fisheries management are the first to benefit from their efforts is the democratization of ownership. Tambuyog promotes the community property rights among its partner communities. Through more than 3 decades of continuous work and campaigning, our communities were able to secure tenurial rights over fisheries resources, and this in turn allows them to secure the means of production and provide a more level playing field among the sector stakeholders. Through the partnership with the local government unit, a taksay or ring net fishing operation operated by cooperative organization of municipal fishers was made possible. This is expected to contribute in the development of fishery-based or fishery-related social enterprises in partnership with the local government units and private sector players. And through the introduction of economic sustainability, participation in fisheries governance will not devolve into tokenism.
Mm.
Thank you. That's all for my presentation.
Thank you so much, Ms. Dina, for the presentation about the establishment of the policy basis for participatory fisheries governance in Philippines, starting with improving the capacity of fisheries stakeholders from government, communities, and LG leaders, and also integrating market-based approach in fisheries management. Thank you so much, Ms. Dina, for the amazing presentation. And then the next presenter will be Mr. Ali Ferretti Tawake from LMMA Network International Trust. Ali Ferretti has a deep history with LMMA, being as co-founder of Fiji's LMMA network and the overall LMMA movement and international network. He has been a key architect of the LMMA approach and has been instrumental in the success of LMMA for over 2 decades. Ali Ferretti has also held many roles working as a student, consultant, researcher, and project coordinator with the University of the South Pacific while helping scale up LMMS nationally, regionally, and globally. And as the council chair, he is currently leading the LMMA Network International Formalization as an NGO. He has also worked across the Indo-Pacific region as a researcher and consultant for Foundations of Success, Australia's big scientific body, THROU, GBRMPA, and the United Nations University Institute of Advanced Studies, UNDP Pacific Office and Conservation International. Mr. Ali Ferretti, over to you.
Hello, good evening. I want to first apologize. I am speaking from at the airport. So if you hear noise, laughter, and the planes, you know where I am. And I was supposed to arrive at my destination, but nevertheless, I'm still stuck at the airport. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can hear. Yeah, we all
Yes.
here can see. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we all
Okay.
can hear you clearly here. Yeah.
Okay. Shall I share my slide, or you do it from your end?
I already share yours.
Okay.
Your slide now.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just to, I will ask if I can turn off my camera, so that helps with my bandwidth on this
Yes.
end.
No worries.
So the focus of my speech, and I'd like to thank all the speakers that have spoken before, focus more on the socioeconomic benefits of participatory governance approach in Fiji, using the locally managed green area concept. Next slide, please. And I will start by defining what LMMA, locally managed marine area network, is. Which is, can we go to the next slide, please? So LMMA, locally managed marine area, is defined as an area near shore, under some form of community management or community or collaborative management with government or an NGO. The tools, the term locally managed, or in short LMMA, is an umbrella term that was coined in 2000. It is an umbrella term that is equivalent or inclusive of season in Indonesia, tambu or kapu, community-based, sanctuary, And that's how the umbrella term came about. And the term LMMA was coined to be able to include all those, but still separate from the conventional uh, conventional definition of protected area. And the main idea here is that for community to be leading in the management of their fisheries through stewardship, but it can be done with NGO partners, universities, or even local governments. Next slide, please. What motivated the LMA concept and the movement? The three key areas, and I can hear from other speakers have also shared a bit of that as well. First is this crisis. 20 years ago, the acknowledgement that business as usual is not enough. Fiji alone, the forecast is that by 2030 we will need an additional 30 tons of fish to be able to feed the population. And if we don't change the way we do things, it will be even worse. So that kind of crisis helped prioritize or bring the urgency for some communities, for many communities that we work with, to go back to local wisdom, traditional wisdom, and reinvent or revitalize some of those to be able to act as a solution to this crisis of overfishing. And also the third point is that communities, people around the Pacific coastal communities, that is, they're very closely linked to these fisheries, dependent on them livelihoods, and if they are allowed to collapse, the impact will be very enormous on the people. It will drive poverty down. So those were some of the motivations in the initiation of to find a solution to be able to change, to impact those three key issues. Next slide, please. And the slide that's before you is the slide that's before you is just providing a basic schematic diagram of the definition. And in the case of Fiji, that's an equivalent to one fishing ground called Golongoli. And there's also one locally managed marine area. And you can equate that as well to a small scale fishery. Next slide, please. These are some of the management tools that over the years that have been improved over by the communities themselves, and it has come to this. There are permanent closures. Permanent closures. This can be permanently closed and what we can call no takes. Also seasonal closures, periodically harvest closures. What that means is it can be closed. One particular reef will be closed and only open when there's a feast, there's a wedding, and the decisions are made. And then after the wedding, it's closed again. Those are some of the reasons behind this periodically harvest closes. They call it the bank, the local bank. They only go to withdraw from it when they really need it. And then it comes about after community meeting consensus. There are also rules that they species restriction or species moratorium, species that they can ban, ones that are important for them, and also that are locally overfished in the effort to restore them. It can be sea cucumber, it can be octopus, and they are vary from community to community depending on what they consider as a locally harvested species. The other ones are also their restriction to ban a particular type of fish, kind of boat that they use in an effort to reduce the intensity of fishing and harvest, but also balance it in a way that helps restore the fisheries back to some. Next slide. Yeah, over the years we've also improved it, but those management tools have also become the basis for developing an integrated sustainable plan for the village. It can include waste management, disaster, sustainable or climate smart agriculture, renewable energy, even, and also income generating, looking at opportunities for income generating. Next slide, please. Approach that we take, it's called community-based adaptive management approach. I guess in relation to the subject topic, this is very key, participatory management process where local stakeholders make a plan, implement it, check how it is going through monitoring, analyze it, and communicate the results. And through iterative process, they can check once every 2 years or every year to see how the plan is going. That in theory continues. And I must say that some of these communities started 20 years ago and they've continued up to this day. And the management orientation that they chose or they decide to open up based on the information and data that they have collected over the years. Which reef to close, which reef to open. And in a particular fishing ground, what we call an LMMA, not only one of those tools, they can employ all the management tools that I showed earlier. Gear restriction, there's a reef that is permanently closed, there's a reef they call the bank, periodically harvested, and there's rules, covers, fishing license, gear restrictions as well. But for us as an NGO, our role is as a facilitator in communities. So the pictures that you see here are, again, communities that are being trained to collect data, look at abundance, and present the result, analyze and present the results back to the communities to make sense out of it, and also to check. And also it's a motivation for them to see, okay, yes, our fisheries is improving, decreasing sizes of resources, clams, increasing as well. Next slide, please. So the photos that you see are very meticulous and intentional approach involving the sectors within the community. Leaders, the elders, the women, not just any women. We have the elder women, older women, and then the younger women separated first, and then blended so that they can encourage mentoring, encourage sharing, but also allowing them to talk confidently about issues that are important to them. Next slide, please. In addition to small-scale fisheries management tools or LMMA tools, and restoration like planting mangroves, coral farms, coastal rehabilitation as well. Giant clam circles, setting up giant clam circles as a way of restoring by using the no-take areas to do all these restoration. Next slide. Not only in the water management, the management also look at the reef to reach approach, intensively involving women and youths to be able to improve and also be involved in reforestation, setting up nurseries, and also income generation. Next slide, please. So across Fiji, we now have about now have about 470 communities that are part of the initiative. So the ones in yellow that you see are the LMMAs, the ones in red are the no-takes, permanent no-takes, and within it you can have other management regime. So far across Fiji, there's 79% of our coastal areas are currently managed as an LMMA. And yeah, that's around 71% of the communities. So next slide. For us, our target now is 100%. I'm sorry, the prices behind me. I'm hoping that you can filter that out. Yeah, we call it the 100% solution. For us, it's a game changer. In the sense that every coastal community should have a part to play in restoring their fisheries or being part of an LMMA. There are three dimensions to this. One is 100% coverage spatially. Two is to also include other thematic areas, not just fisheries. Look at governance, improving the governance, improving income generation, and also dependence on the sea as well. And thirdly, it's around governance, scaling up, strengthening the governance section. Next slide, please. What are some of the social benefits? These are some of the food fish that these communities are beginning to enjoy. More frequent variety, diversity that they are beginning to see as part of the restoration of the LMA benefits. So far, on average, about 100 to 200% increase in fisheries yield in the first 5 years, and also at least 30% improvement in the household income that's attributed to these fisheries yield, according to some of the data and the catch survey effort that we collected and measured. The next slide you have there is exercises also improve social cohesion. Communities coming together, with a common purpose, having a consensus. Yes, we must invest. And this is a community that for many years before we started, were divided. They have more conflicts than, and this is a photo that have brought them together, and it's the LMMA that brought them together, holding hands, committing their LMMA and their noted area to God as part of the blessing. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is just a summary of the benefits. What has communities shared that have they've benefited from the LMA investment. One, improving the awareness, best practices they hear from other communities who are sharing and learning, fisheries, financial literacy. I will not go through all of them, but I think it's important to say there are more than just fisheries benefits, income benefits, empowerment. It includes improving the decision making as part of it as well. Next slide, please. Yes, yeah, Vina Kapgale, who is in Fijian for terima kasih and thank you.
Thank you, Ali Fareti, for your presentation about LMMA development in Pacific with co-management approach, combining community-based and government-based marine management and conservation, also integrating into village sustainability plan. And there are several questions already. And the first one is for Paris. Paris, there is a question for you, Paris. How can the government support participatory fisheries governance effectively? For example, in-kind support or funding support. Over to you, Paris.
Thank you, Ms. Indah. In our country, in Indonesia, the Indonesian government through MMIF, Minister Marine Affairs and Fisheries, provide budget to facilitate meeting, finance for the trip, travel for of the stakeholder join to meeting, and provide facility and infrastructure assistance to fishermen like the fishing gear and small boat, small boat. This is the from the government, central government, especially for the support to co-management in business management in Indonesia. Thank you.
Thank you, Paris, for your answer. And then the next question is for Chris. Chris, based on your experience, what are the best practices in community empowerment to strengthen fisheries governance? Over to you, Chris.
Thank you for the question. I think the best practice in community empowerment to strengthen fisheries governance is when the communities involve themselves and actively participate to design fisheries management from the beginning, in terms of collecting data and making decisions to manage their marine and coastal area. And after they know their marine condition through the data feedback session that show there are trends of octopus is getting low, and they realize there are a problem with their marine, so they decide to close their octopus fishing area for 3 months. And then after the temporary closure, the data trends of octopus fisheries in Uwedikan so the getting high, and then they start to realize, oh, okay, there is the problem in our marine, and then okay, we starting to manage. And then we hope the data would be contributing to the marine and fisheries department at the regency level or provincial level, and also at the national level, like Pak Aris office, right? And then the community engagement was helping them achieve marine sustainability, and then at the same time economic benefit, and also to strengthen the fisheries governance. I think that's my answer.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Chris, for the answer. And then there is another question. This one is for Dina. Miss Dina, can you explain briefly how advocacy work in the Philippines can effectively accommodate participatory fisheries governance? Over to you.
Yes, thank you for that question. I tackled a bit of that in my presentation. And as I said, for many decades, organized fishers have clamored and advocated for policies, for representations, of their leaders of small-scale fishers, so their voices can be heard by government decision makers and policy makers. So through various actions, be it dialogue, picket, rally, petitions, all of the actions, And finally, in 2008, organized fisherfolk group lobbied for provision, in the new law, and lobbied for this provision to include the proposed Fisheries and Aquatic Resource Management Council, where small-scale fishers are represented, and participation in crafting of local and national policy and programs affecting small-scale fishers and their fishing ground are finally accommodated in the Philippine Fisheries Code.
Yeah, thank you, Dina. And then what else? Okay, there is another question. This one is for Ali Ferretti. So Ali Ferretti, can you elaborate more? What is the social economic benefit of participatory governance approach in Fiji? Over to you, Ali Ferretti.
Yes, maybe it's a start to outline that a sector of the community that falls within the poverty are mostly from fishing areas, fishing communities. So the work that RMMA started targeted those communities, the most vulnerable communities, communities that are in the poverty or below the poverty line, because and the work that I mentioned earlier contributed enormously to improving, lifting them out of poverty. I mentioned some of the figures that the household income improved by about 30% for the three years. That is enormous. That is a big improvement, leveraging the standard of living for these communities. So much so that in 2005, the World Sustainable Sustainable Development Summit recognized these as some of the examples for linking poverty reduction to fisheries management biodiversity as some of the best practices in elevating poverty. But it's not only limited. The socioeconomic benefits not only limited to these vulnerable communities. Everywhere, even the well-off communities that are near towns and cities are also experiencing. First of all, they're able to catch more fish. That improves their diet, improves their seafood is one of the most nutritious source of livelihood. They're moving away from fatty sources of protein to more healthy sources of protein. So yes, the socioeconomic benefits are resonates across the communities, and these stories are actually motivating other new communities to start their own fishing, their own elements, and it's spreading from community to community by communities themselves. They have become the champion, the change agent in those their communities and their provinces. I think I'll stop there. I hope I've answered the question.
Thank you, Ali Ferretti. There is another question, but this time is from Rayhan. So Rayhan, you can answer. You can ask directly to Dina.
Yeah. Maybe there are 4 here. And maybe it's for all. I will ask. So actually, it's more than one, but I will just like pick one for each presenter. First one is for Dina. So Dina, you said that in Philippines, the fisheries code changed because of Philippines getting yellow card from Europe. And do you think the market-driven change is the best way to change policy? What do you think about that? That's for Dina. And then second one is Ali Ferretti. You mentioned that one of the management measure is to prevent or to restrict the access. What do you do to prevent the horizontal conflict? That's for Ali Ferretti. And for Christopel, or maybe yeah, for Ali Ferretti and Dina first, and then yeah, I will give it to
Yeah, I'll answer now. Okay, I don't think it's the best way, but it really helped. I think it's a combination. The best is the combination of instituting and lobbying for national policy. Of course, with sanctions for violators. No? So regulations with sanctions for violators is the best for any national or country policy. No? And to discipline, of course, the illegal and unreported and unregulated fishing practices. But as I said, the yellow card really helped in changing our policy or national fisheries code because the pressure were given to the exporters or the producers that export to EU to discipline themselves. Otherwise, they cannot market their products. So, and the EU policy is consistent also with sustainable fisheries. So why not, right? Let's adopt and let's be consistent. Let's make our local policies consistent with international agreements on code of conduct for responsible fisheries. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Dina. And maybe Ali Ferretti before later Christopel and Aris.
Yeah, thank you. I like the yellow and red card approach.
Okay,
Dina. Let me first explain what restrictions I was referring to. The restrictions to the access in the form of reducing the license. So each of the fishing ground are registered to a certain community. So in this case, the restrictions, only those that are registered are able to fish within that fishing ground. and so it's not an open access, and that's the what I'm referring to as the next community. If they want to come and fish, there's a protocol established. They can come in and seek permission before they are allowed to go out and fish. So that way, they help in policing the fishing ground that is allocated to a particular community. And any new community, any new fisherman that comes and fishes within their fishing ground are easily recognized, and they can help police it that way. Of course, there are teething problems from the start, conflict, but having a very good process from the start, by allowing the communities to be able to share with the next community their rules, involving them in the permitting process or the awareness. So the next community is also aware what the neighboring community rules are, and that's one way of helping reduce the conflict. The restriction in itself is helping reduce conflict, because it's allocating a group of fishermen from the villages to the ones that they are being assigned to, and it's helping also with the policing that way. I hope that help respond to the question on restriction.
Yeah, thank you, Ali. It's so helpful to add our takeaway message today. And the next one is for Pak Aris. What's the obstacles to applying co-management in Indonesia? Maybe, yeah, something you can share to other countries, and also for Christopher. So here, some people are interested, like on like the increase of income because of the fisheries management. But do you think it is enough to improve small-scale fishers' well-being, or any other homework we need to be done? Hope it's clear.
Okay. Me first, Mr. Rayhan.
Please, Pak Aris.
Yeah. I think in our country, the obstacle to the implementation of co-management in Indonesia is that there are no derivative rules from the law, yeah, especially the regulation derivative from the Fisheries Act of Fisheries, to translate the implementation of co-management in the region, especially in the province in district level, because for the implementation for the co-management system, just for the small scale fisheries, yeah, not for the large scale, because the industry not support for the co-management. In our country, for the develop implementing for the co-management, basically in the small scale fisheries. And we are currently drafting a regulation from the Minister of Marine and Fisheries, yeah, ministerial decree about for guideline for implementing co-management in fisheries management. Hopefully, it will be legalized soon, yeah, as soon as possible, because this for the like for the standard, yeah, for the guidance. I think this is very important before we implementing co-management system in Indonesia, yeah. We develop some the regulation for the guidance. I think ministerial decree is okay, yeah, for that implementation in Indonesia. Thank you.
Thank you. Christopher, maybe you can be quick before we wrap up the session. For the...
I think increase the income is not enough, and then furthermore is how to and the same time how to maintain the marine or the ocean, and then that is a need recognized from the provincial level, because in Indonesia there is a regulation 0 to 12 mile from the regulation from the provincial level. So I think we need to recognize from the like a marine fisheries department at provincial level, and then you know, in from our case in Uwedikan, there is a village regulation, and then the village regulation to how to manage the marine. But I think how to integrate it to the level provincial level, and we still ongoing process to encourage regulation from the provincial level to recognize the local fisheries management through fisheries management plan. And then yeah, yeah, I think that's my answer.
Okay, thank you, Chris. So Indah, before we close the session.
Yeah, thank you. So before we close the session with summary and takeaways, thank you so much for a productive session and also for the discussion to Dina, Pak Aris, Pak Chris, and Ali Ferretti. Very impressive presentations and very useful. And before we close the session, my colleague Rayhan will give the summary. So yeah, thank you so much, and over to you, Rayhan.
Thank you all. So these are the takeaway message. That's something that we can recommend to the decision maker. So at the moment in Indonesia, the approach is so centralistic, as Paris mentioned. It is important to have co-management or participatory approach. This needs to be regulated through derivative regulation. And also the second one is small-scale fisheries council plays an important role to bridge SSF aspiration on decision-making process on policy making, as Dina highlighted. And then participatory fisheries approach is important to be applied in the area where coastal community heavily rely on fisheries resources, as Christopher mentioned. And also it requires a process to develop inclusive empowerment participatory fisheries program that can involve both women and men. So it requires a process. It's not an instant process. And then fifth, number 5, from Pak Aris, from Dina, from Ali Ferretti, all speakers say that data is a key tool to empower community to be actively participated in fisheries governance program. And the data doesn't belong to NGO, but communities. Also, this is important that we need to communicate the data with the communities. And the 6th, participatory fisheries approach allows community to obtain benefits, including increase of productions and fisheries income. 7, it is important to design well management measures, including conducting permanent closure, harvested closure, species extinction, gear restriction, access restriction. Also, it is essential to be adaptive according to community needs, as Ali Ferretti mentioned. Last but not least, this is important. It is important to obtain government recognition and support by highlighting community's role in fisheries policy management, not only as a user, but also decision maker, as Dina also highlight and Pa Aris mentioned, and also important to allocate budget to accommodate community participation from government. That's all for the takeaway message, Indah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rayhan, for the takeaway message. And yeah, because we are also already to the end of the session. Again, thank you so much to all of the speakers today and to the organizer, and also to Rayhan for helping me co-chairing this session. And see you next time, hopefully in person. And yeah, stay safe in the meantime. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye. Nice to meet you all.
Nice job, everyone. I found it interesting.
Thank you, Aline. You will close this session or?
Yeah, I can close it now.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.